Hello and very warm welcome at Amish Shackle 5858. I am Amish Shackle. Foreign news have been reported by American, European, Asian, African, Australian news channels and the news agencies. So please let's go to the headlines.
ABC's World News Tonight, America's most watched newscast. Now streaming same day with all the breaking news of the day on Disney Plus. Most watched, most trusted. Now on Disney Plus every night.
Tonight, President Trump's new warning to Iran as the first American casualties return home, and the severe weather threat on the move after a deadly tornado outbreak in the Midwest. Tonight, President Trump vowing to hit Iran very hard today as the war enters its second week. Airstrikes pummeling Tehran, including a key airport. New satellite images show damage to Iran's naval and aircraft facilities. Matt Rivers reports from the region tonight. The dignified transfer at Dover Air Force Base as the first fallen soldiers come home from the Middle East. President Trump and the First Lady there. The president not ruling out sending ground forces into the fight amid new concerns that Russia may be helping Iran with intelligence about the location of U.S. troops. Selena Wang is with the president. Iran's neighbors now under fire. Oil facilities threatened across the region. Here at home, the price of gas up almost 50 cents in the first week of the war. Tonight, states of emergency after deadly tornadoes tear through the heartland.
Oh my God! Oh my God!
At least 8 dead in the 2-day outbreak, homes destroyed, neighborhoods left in ruin, and the severe weather threats from Texas to New York tonight. Meteorologist Danny Beckstrom here with the forecast. Newly released video of the deadly shooting of an American citizen by federal immigration agents. Officials claimed the driver deliberately rammed an agent with his car, what the video appears to show. Suspicious devices thrown during a clash of protesters outside Gracie Mansion, the home of New York's Mayor Zoran Mamdani. 4 people under arrest. A record-setting season for Miami of Ohio's men's basketball team, undefeated in the regular season, the only unbeaten team in Division I hoops. But is that enough to earn them a spot in March Madness? And the little girl awaiting a new heart, and the message from construction workers outside her window every day at 3 o'clock. Tonight's America Strong.
From ABC News World Headquarters in New York, this is
Everyone, I am Tommy Lahren along with Joey Jones, Alicia Cunha, and Joe Concha. Welcome to the big weekend show. And the big story tonight is a Fox News alert. More strikes in the Middle East today as Qatar, Bahrain, and the United Arab Emirates all report new interceptions of Iranian missiles and drones. These attacks come just hours after Iran's president apologized to neighboring countries for their attacks, saying the regime will halt their strikes unless it's hit first. They've attacked at least 11 countries since Operation Epic Fury began last Saturday, in addition to Israel, which launched their own attacks today. Among them, a university that the Israeli Defense Force says is used by the Iranian Revolutionary Guard to train its officers. Meanwhile, the United States is increasing its military presence in that region, with a third Navy aircraft carrier strike expected to join the fight. President Trump spoke about the success of Operation Epic Fury earlier today.
The result, and it's been amazing. We've knocked out 42 Navy ships, some of them very large, in 3 days. That was the end of the Navy. We knocked out their Air Force. We knocked out their communications, and all telecommunications is gone. I don't know how they communicate, but I guess they will figure something out. It's not working out too well. And they're bad people. They're just bad people.
And here with the latest is Lucas Tomlinson, live from Dubai. Lucas, what can you tell us?
Well, good evening, Tommy. It was a rather diplomatic affair there in Doral from President Trump, and he had some more shots to take on Truth Social. Let's let the audience read it with us. The president threatening Iran, probably with some knowledge about those strikes that decimated Iran's oil refineries outside of the capital. President Trump saying today Iran will be hit very hard under serious consideration for complete destruction and certain death because of all Iran's bad behavior are areas of groups of people that were not considered for targeting up until this moment in time. Now, Tommy, no country has been hit harder by Iranian missiles and drones than this one. From where I'm standing, over 40% of Iran's missiles and drones have been launched at this country. That's twice the number that have been launched at Israel.
This is DW News. Our top story is airstrikes have set off.
On this Saturday night, confusion in the Middle East. Questions about who's in charge as Iranian leadership apologizes for bombing Gulf Arab neighbors, and then resumes attacks. Some Canadians escape the war zone.
I live in the fear. I was afraid.
While the reopened Dubai airport sustains a direct hit. Plus, the Trump administration's initiative to crack down on Latin American drug cartels, authorizing more than a dozen countries to use deadly force. And survey says Canadians like each other.
The thing that's striking about this survey is that we also think our neighbors are nice.
As polling shows Americans can't say the same.
Global National. Reporting tonight, Colleen Christie.
Air raid sirens sounding over Tel Aviv as Iran launches new missile and drone strikes targeting not only Israel but neighboring nations as well, retaliating after new U.S.-Israeli strikes pummeled Tehran. Qatar and the United Arab Emirates have also been attacked, and tens of thousands are fleeing Beirut after U.S.-Israeli strikes pummeled Lebanon's capital. Good evening. Thanks for joining us. The Saudi Kingdom also says it intercepted an Iranian missile fired at one of its military bases near Riyadh in another day of devastating bombings right across the region. In another day of devastating bombings right across the region.
Hello, you're watching Sky News. I'm Nick Creation. Here are the headlines. The divide between the US and the UK appears to widen further, with Donald Trump telling Keir Starmer, "We don't need your aircraft carriers," just as HMS Prince of Wales gets ready to sail. Skies light up over Tehran, with the US saying another big attack is on the way. But in Iran, they're ignoring demands to surrender, instead paving the way for a new supreme leader who could be named within the next 24 hours. Donald Trump receives the bodies of the first US troops killed in the war. 6 command center staff died after an Iranian drone strike on Kuwait. While in Beirut, nowhere is safe. So Lebanese officials begin to build a tented community under the stand of the country's national stadium.
They think they can fit about 500 people in this one section alone. And when you consider that there are 20-25 sections under the stadium, you're looking at a capacity, ultimately, of 10,000 people plus.
Trump had left the Dover Air Base, a president in mournful respect for America's fallen when his attention turned to the UK. Prime Minister.
For inspirational stories of creativity, ABC iView.
Today, Australia considers a call to help Iran's neighbours as countries come under renewed fire.
We have been asked and we will consider in accordance with those principles.
The destruction in Iran continues. This inferno, the aftermath of a strike on an oil depot. A Good Samaritan allegedly murdered by 3 teenagers at a Melbourne train station identified. Catherine suffers its worst flooding in almost 3 decades, with some remote residents still waiting to be evacuated.
We have all of our emergency services working hand in hand to bring this response effort to the community.
On the right-hand side, oh no. And Oscar Piastri crashes out of the Australian Formula One before the race began. Hello and welcome to ABC News. I'm Ros Childs. The federal government is considering a request for military assistance from Gulf states that have been targeted by Iranian drone and missile attacks as the war enters its second week. Foreign Minister Penny Wong told the ABC's Insiders programme that a request for assistance has been received and is being considered by the federal government. With more, here's political reporter Sarah Tomevska.
Well, the Foreign Minister Penny Wong did
Is Asia Now.
It's 12 p.m. in Singapore and Hong Kong, 9:30 in New Delhi, and 11 o'clock in Jakarta. I'm Rani Samtani. At this hour, Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi says the leading status of the United Nations should be upheld. He describes exclusive blocs as unsustainable in what appeared to be a veiled swipe at U.S. President Donald Trump's Board of Peace. Mr. Wang also reiterated a ceasefire call in the Middle East, saying that the war on Iran should not have happened. Meanwhile, U.S. President Trump warns of wider strikes on Iran, Tehran vowing it would not surrender, as it says it is prepared to continue an all-out war for at least 6 months. And Iran's security chief Ali Larijani says they remain united, even as the president faces criticism for apologizing to Middle Eastern neighbors for retaliatory strikes.
Africa News. The news.
Burundian refugees in Tanzania are being evicted from their homes and churches under a deal between the two countries' governments. According to local media, Burundi is seeking to repatriate more than 100,000 of its citizens by June. Many Burundians fled violence and civil war in their country over the past decade to Tanzania. In late 2025, the refugees were estimated to number 142,000 individuals, concentrated in 2 main camps. But Tanzanian security forces are now reportedly overseeing the destruction of the camps. And many refugees have accused them of coercion, leaving them no choice but to return to Burundi if they do not want to become homeless. The United Nations Refugee Agency has meanwhile expressed its concern over the situation. The agency estimated that so far around 28,000 refugees have been forcibly repatriated to Burundi this year. How many more will have to follow is unclear. Bloodshed and economic crimes. These are the accusations that opponents of former Senegalese President Macky Sall brought against Sall on Friday. Macky Sall recently launched his bid for the position of Secretary General of the United Nations. Burundi nominated him for the position on Monday, but during a press conference on Friday, opponents spoke out against Sall's bid. They notably said that his UN candidacy was an attempt to escape prosecution for political violence during his time as leader of the country. They also accused him of having concealed the true extent of Senegal's debt. International Monetary Fund experts confirmed that officials falsely declared Senegal's public debt and deficits for the period between 2019 and 2023. In recent days, numerous political figures have, however, also made clear their support for Sall's candidacy for the UN's top job. It is seen as a means of increasing Senegal's diplomatic weight. Lebanon's capital Beirut is once again a war zone. Smoke was still billowing from buildings damaged by Israeli airstrikes overnight. Beirut and southern Lebanon have been pounded by missile attacks over the past week, as Israel seeks to drive out the militant group Hezbollah. The attacks come as Israel and the US launched a widening war against Iran last week. Hezbollah is one of Iran's most important allies in the region. Residents in Beirut received an unprecedented Israeli evacuation warning on Thursday. Thousands have attempted to flee the zone since. Major streets out of Beirut were blocked by long traffic jams. The Israeli airstrikes have since damaged large parts of the city. In southern Lebanon, a UN peacekeeping military base was also damaged in a strike, leaving several peacekeepers from Ghana wounded, according to local media reports. The source of the attack on the base has for now not yet been confirmed.
German to go.
This is DW News. Our top stories. Israeli airstrikes have set off explosions at an oil depot in the Iranian capital, Tehran. It's thought to be the first attack on the Islamic Republic's oil infrastructure. Iran has again launched waves of missiles and drones against several countries in the region, despite its president, Masoud Pezeshkian, apologizing for attacks on its neighbors. At least 4 people have been killed in an Israeli airstrike on a hotel in central Beirut. The Israeli military later said it carried out a precise strike targeting commanders from Iran's Revolutionary Guard. Israel has also been pounding the southern suburbs of the Lebanese capital, a stronghold of Iran's ally Hezbollah. President Donald Trump has attended the return of the first US troops killed in the Iran war. Caskets draped with the American flag were carried from a military transport at Dover Air Base in Delaware. The 6 service personnel were killed a week ago in a drone attack on a US command center in Kuwait.
This is DW News Africa. Coming up on the...
This to help the build-up to the Iraq War in 2003. The thing that's missing here, obviously, is our leaders in the West, at least, made the...
Hello, this is Night Watch here on France 24. We're continuing our coverage of the conflict in the Middle East here at night. Flames light up the night sky in southern Tehran after US and Israeli strikes hit an oil depot, the first reported attack on Iran's oil infrastructure since the war began. Meanwhile, several Gulf nations reporting fresh missile and drone attacks, even after Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian apologized earlier Saturday to Gulf states previously struck by Iranian weapons. Social Affairs Minister says around 400 people have been registered at least 1 million. Essentially, their homes are say.
Thank you for watching. I'm Shakil 5858. I hope you will come again. Have a good life. Bye-bye.